Hello, how are you? Welcome to the Embodied Oracle Show with myself, Donnell, and I am a mentor who specializes in soul embodied leadership so you can live the most juicy, rich, amazing, incredible, thriving, limitless life. That's a mouthful, right? Anyways, I'm excited to be with you here today and talk about the hidden cost of not following your intuition. So before I even get into all of that, I want to just, kind of give a foundation of what is intuition. Hopefully, if you are connected to me, you're using your intuition. And for me, it's been something that I can't even imagine my life without using my intuition. It's been something, well, first of all, everybody has intuition, right? Not everybody uses their intuition. It's a sixth sense, right? So many people are used to operating just from their five senses, which is kind of wild to me to think about. But a lot of the times people want proof of something, and intuition, until you really develop that muscle, you're not going to have always the proof that it's working. But for me, with my journey, intuition has been always a part of my life. I mean, it was something that I felt, and I remember I didn't really develop my intuition, really start working on it until my 20s. It was just something that was naturally there for me. And then I was really curious. And I think this is important to note. I was talking to one of my amazing soul sisters, and she is a pure channel psychic. And we were talking about our gifts that we have around intuition. And she was saying that, sometimes you just know that you are meant to do this work, that you're meant to be a channel. I'm a channel, if you guys don't know that. And I've been channeling for, I don't even know, I think it's been almost 20 years. But regardless, I didn't start off like that. I didn't know that I had this gift with intuition. I really didn't. I didn't even know that I did until I literally went into some of these classrooms when I was studying intuition and would sit across from somebody and have to do a reading for them and close my eyes and see stuff. And I thought when I was looking in their energy field that I was just seeing, imagining things. I was like, oh, I'm just making stuff up. This can't be real. And then the funny part, hey, Sylvia, is I would open my eyes and then I would look at the person that I was giving the information to, and they were bug-eyed. They'd be like, how did you know that about me? Where did that come from? How did you see that? And then I knew, okay, wait a second, I'm tapping into something. There's something beyond what I know to, this physical reality. Back then, I didn't even know about the quantum field. I didn't know that we were all energy and that everybody's, you can really tap into intuition through the morphogenetic field. I didn't know any of that stuff. But now I do. But, intuition, just by design, is something that helps you connect to the unseen realm. It helps you connect to that quantum field. And within that quantum field is so much information. So anywhere, so I just want to preface it with this. Everybody's intuitive, and anywhere in your life that you are stuck, that you feel like you need information, you could go online and go Google something. You could go look to other people to tell you things. But this whole little chat that I'm having is because I want you to know how powerful you are, that you could literally go within yourself and resource the answers. That is everything that I teach my clients that work with me, because I'm not the guru saying, oh, yes, because, I am a channel and I can see things. I can see all the timelines and give information and all these things. But I don't ever want it to be like, oh, you need to rely on me because I see the truth that you can't see. That's not the case. Sometimes we have blind spots. Sometimes there's things that we're so attached to that we can't see. So that's where I come in really handy. But more often than not, it's helping create the space for my clients to learn how to access their intuition. So I am, a leader role modeling how to do that. Not everybody has the opportunity to work with me. So I thought, you know what? I want to come in here and I want to, share about what this looks like, how to start tapping into your intuition. But also what happens when we don't, because to me, a part of the richness of life is tapping in and following my intuition. I live a very intuitive life. I'm very deeply connected to my feminine within me. So it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. each one of us has, masculine and feminine dynamics within us. Our soul is not necessarily a gender. And so the feminine aspect of us is the part of us that's really intuitive and receives information and is in flow. But in this day and age in our society, not many people know how to slow down. Everybody's like, I got to go 1,000,000 miles an hour and I got to go do this and I got to do that. Well, you're not going to tap into your intuition that way. You might get a little, kind of hint of it or something may come through, but the true intuition requires a little bit of being quiet, being with yourself. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. So first thing to recognize is that we all feel so much. And so I want to give this one major, major discernment. Intuition is not your emotions, okay? If you think that that's intuition, it's not, okay? So what I mean by that is there's intuition, which is a feeling, which is a sensation in your body. It's a sensation. It's something that, you might walk into a room and all of a sudden your stomach hurts, your solar plexus. You're like, oh God, I feel gross. What is happening? What is that feeling I have? Or you may, all of a sudden, yesterday, I was picking up a lot of information, and I know it sounds crazy, but my head started pulsating and hurting. I got a massive headache because I was picking up a lot in my third eye. So intuition is a feeling, it's a sensation in the body. That's the first discernment, not emotions. Emotions are energy in motion. So emotions are, you're driving down the street, somebody cuts you off, you get angry. That's something that it's a flash thing that happens. That's not that's not your intuition. So intuition is, I always say it's almost like this soft breeze. It's a feeling. It's you kind of notice it. And if you're not trained to pay attention to it, you could just be like, oh, I walked into that room or I was hanging out with that person. I got a stomach ache and maybe I ate something. Yeah, maybe you ate something and maybe your spidey senses were picking up that something was off about the conversation or something didn't feel right. If you're on a date and you're like, oh, I don't feel so good around this person. That's your intuition. Your body is this receptacle. It's like a full antenna to receive information from the quantum field. So that's the first thing I want you to recognize is your body is already intuitive. And if you're not hanging out in your body too much, especially for my ladies, and you're always kind of I don't like my body, I'm uncomfortable in my body, I'm overweight, I'm this or that, stop it, number one. And I talk to myself and say stop it for myself too, because I have that issue sometimes as well. But I have learned over the years that I'm so much more intuitive when I'm present in my body. All my consciousness is fully in my body. And then then it's an antenna picking up information. The gut has just as many receptor sites like the brain. It might even have more. Actually, the gut communicates up to the brain. So when you receive information, it's the next thing I want to say is when you receive intuitive information, a lot of the time it comes in and then your brain's going to go process it. So how do you receive intuitive information? So I'm so curious if you're watching this live or if you are catching this later, tell me how you receive your intuition. So I'm going to give you the different ways to, that it's going to come in. So sometimes it's just a clear knowing. That you just know something. You might see a friend and she might not even be showing, but you're like, she's pregnant. I know it. I know it. So that's a way that, it comes through is knowing. And then you have the feeling, which I've already been describing. Then you have clairvoyance, which is your ability to see something. You get a visual. Your eyes are closed and maybe you get some sacred geometry, or maybe you get a visual of something happening. That's clairvoyance. And then there's clairaudience where you're hearing something. So you may wake up. This has happened to me so many times over the years where I wake up and I hear a song playing in my head. And if I hear a song playing in my head, I don't just ignore it and go, oh, there's that song playing in my head. That's annoying. Unless I listen to it, let's say the night before. But if it's a random song, I will stop. I will Google the song and I will figure out what the lyrics are. I'll tell you why, because it's a message from my soul, or it's a message from my angels, whoever's trying to communicate with me. And so for me, it's always like, well, what is it saying? And I remember when I was going through a really, really pivotal time in my life a couple years ago, I kept hearing this song, and I teach about this, and it was my future self. So your higher self, your soul, is already living out the life that you want, right? And so they're going to give you messages and clues. And so my future self at that time, my future self being me now, right? Probably went back to my, former self, and I played this Ace of Besa song that says, "I saw the sign." And if you read the lyrics, it was like literally at that time when I received that message and I could hear that song playing over and over in my head, I was like, what is this? Like, why am I hearing this? But it was a message that came to fruition months later, and then maybe 3 or 4 months after it came through, I was like, I'm going to go back and listen to that song. And it was literally a message from my soul because it came true. So that's your ability to hear things. So you have the knowing, the feeling, the seeing, the clairaudience, and then a lot of the times it's prophetic dreams. And so you may have a dream, you may be lucid dreaming, and you might get some information. I have all my channels open because I've been doing this for so many years. It's just something that I practice. And so intuition it's like going to the gym. The more you use it, the more you practice it, the better you get at it, the more that you can, trust it and build upon it, and then open up all your channels to receive information, which is so fun. But the problem sometimes with intuition, and where I see most people blocked, is that they don't trust their feelings. So, a lot of kids, when they're little, maybe you're one of these kids, type a yes or an N, if you want when I'm saying this. Maybe you were the kid that was told, stop feeling like that, don't do that. Maybe you were in a chaotic environment when you were growing up. I'm talking like 0 to 7, your most formative years. And you shut down a lot of your abilities. I mean, I've seen my kids talk about angels. I've seen my kids tell me about their past lives all before the age of about 4 or 5. Like I've seen so much insane, beautiful stuff. And this is not just my children because they grew up with a psychic mother. This is a lot of kids. And so, but what happens is if the parents aren't comfortable, they might be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. That's just something, or like, just ignore that, or or the feeling state for you was just too much, like you didn't feel comfortable feeling everything because maybe you were in a chaotic environment. So you shut it down. So today, your invitation is to turn it back on, and you're going to do it in a safe way. And so the way that I tell my clients to turn their intuition back on is just to command and declare. I command and declare that I open up all my psychic channels in the most safe way, so that I can start to access the truth of my soul, because that's what intuition really is. It's your soul trying to communicate to you. It's your body is the barometer of your soul. It's always kind of telling you what's going on, but you have to have a relationship with yourself. You can't just be on autopilot living and being like, okay, I'm not paying attention. And this is where I get into like, what happens, right? If you're not paying attention, what's the cost of not listening to your intuition? Well, I know for me, it's kind of interesting because for as wildly intuitive as I am, I've had some moments in my life where I wasn't always paying attention to it. And I sometimes ignored it, just like we ignore red flags, right? Have you ever done that when you're in a relationship? There's a red flag and you're like, I didn't see that. That's not happening. Because you so badly want something, or you want the person or whatever it may be that was happening at that time. And you're like, I don't see it. I don't want to. So the first thing, truthfully, is we have to be willing to let go of some of the illusion in our lives. And you have to trust that there's something bigger than what meets the eye. For me, this comes naturally. I've always believed in source. I've always believed in God, whatever you want to call it, God, divine, source energy. Sylvia, stop ignoring the red flags. Sylvia just put in the comment, she ignores the red flags. And for me, I've always trusted that there's a higher power. And if you believe that there's a higher power, or you believe that in the universe, right, we're always dancing with life, it's crazy to think that higher power and that life force, you want to call it that, wouldn't be communicating with us, right? Have you ever thought about that? Why is it just is, it's not just a one-way conversation. Like if you're praying and you're begging, oh God, please, 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 but you're not saying thank you, or you're not in conversation with the universe or with the divine, you're kind of missing a whole big part of this, is that we live in this world where we're always in communication. There's always an energetic conversation. It takes me back to the quantum field. So I'm going to tell you something, and then I'm going to I want to explain this part, and then I'm going to go into why it's so important that we listen to our intuition. The quantum field is between you and me right now. So it doesn't matter if I'm talking to a client that's in Italy. I can literally move energy for them. I can read them. I can channel, because I'm accessing the energy through the quantum field. It knows no time or space. So what that means is you can access information from your past. You can access information from your future. And if that's the case, if you want to be living as a co-creator and take responsibility for the life that you have, you're going to want to be able to time travel in an intuitive way. And what that means is, if there's an event in your past, so let's just say you were the child that grew up in the chaotic environment and you shut down your intuition, you literally can time travel back to that moment when you were 3 or 4 years old, and you can comfort that inner child and tell her or him, it's okay to turn your intuition back on. I am going to hold safe space for you. I'm going to take care of you anytime that you feel dysregulated or you feel like you can't do it. I'm here to help you and to help heal that. And bonus points would be that you understand that all that stuff that happened to you was a necessary thing for whatever reason, because it created who you are today. So you're in a state of acceptance of the chaos that happened. Okay, that would be bonus points. But so that's the past, right? So you heal and you create a new future when you're able to let go of the past. So intuitively, you're able to travel there. You could travel to the future. The future is a blank canvas. The future is literally this. You get to co-create that. So if you're kind of like, I don't know what I want in my life, I have so many women, I work with women that come to me, and I ask them a very simple question. What do you want for your life? And they're like, deer in the headlights. I'm like, wait, what? You don't know what you want for your life? How can you create your life if you don't know what you want for your life? So then I help them intuitively tap into how they want to feel. Because intuition, you may not know. I've had clients say this to me. Well, I don't know what it feels like to be wildly abundant because I've never been wildly abundant in my life. But your future self does. And you can tap into the feeling state of that intuition of like, what would it feel like if I were to have a flush bank account, no debt? You can start to intuitively feel. So the quantum field is full of information. And you're not going to probably do what I do, where I'm like literally reading people for a living and channeling and doing all that stuff. That's not where this is going. This is more so that you can be the co-creator of your life. So you can tap into your future, your past. You can start to ask and do exercises every week or every month where you're like, okay, what is my body from a health perspective asking of me right now? What does it need in order for me to heal? The answers aren't outside of you. Yes, you can go to a doctor and get help, but I just recently had an experience where I'm going to the doctor, I'm asking, taking these medications, and I told her, I said, I'm gaining weight. I can't seem to get the weight off. Like, what's happening? My body's changing from this medication. Oh, you're just saying this. And finally, this is going on for 6 months. This last week, I was like, you know what? I need to ask myself what I need to do. Hey, Tanya, use my intuition to resource my truth so that I can heal, whether that's with my finances, my relationship, my health. You are the co-creator of your reality. So it's so important that you're able to go within yourself and receive that information, because the cost of not getting that, okay, one of them is that you're going to be a slave to what everybody else tells you. You're always going to be outsourcing your power. In this day and age, with what's happening in the world, there has never been a better time to be the most sovereign being that you can be. To really trust your intuition, your intellectual wisdom, so that you can make the most educated decisions about where you're going, where you're heading in your life. okay? So it's really about deep, deep, deep sovereignty and your ability to resource within yourself so that you're not just like letting yourself be a puppet to the media or what people are telling you outside of yourself. You become really resourced and really have a sense of certainty from within. The other piece of this, right, is this feeling of going from living a very ordinary life to a very extraordinary life. Because I don't know about you, but if I'm just trusting what's right in front of me, you know, so let's just say if I don't see beyond the veil, if I can't trust the intuitive hunches I get. So let me talk about that, intuitive hunches. The way my intuition works a lot of time with my business, for instance, is I'll get a hunch of like this show, for instance. It was like, you need to start doing a show every week. You need to get aligned. You need to teach. You need to help women. You need to do this. And it was kind of like, it kept coming up and I kept feeling it. And I was like, I don't know. And I'm doing it now because I believe in getting the download, or you could call it the information, and then taking action on it, because that's how you change your life. But intuition doesn't always make sense, guys. It doesn't. There's things that I've done where I look back and I'm like, how did I know to do that? It didn't make any logical sense at the time. A lot of my life, honestly, and my friends all know this about me, I don't just make decisions based on logic. I really trust my feeling state, whether it's expansive or I feel contracted in a situation. If I'm doing a business deal with somebody, I'm starting to step into a lot of collaborations with a lot of different women right now. And I'm really feeling into, I'm listening to what we're talking about logically. I'm like, okay, is this a good topic that we're going to be teaching? Is this, is this going to be helpful? And I'm listening from an intellectual perspective. And I'm also feeling and listening from my body and my heart. Do I feel open to this person? Do I feel trust and safe? Is my body open right now when this person and I are talking about this, or am I starting to feel contracted? And this is where it gets really interesting, because the contraction could be your trauma from the past, making you feel uncomfortable. But when you get really good at this, you go, something's not right. Why am I feeling that way when I'm tuning into this? So it's really important that if you're going to live an extraordinary life, not the ordinary where everybody else is just doing what society tells them and kind of, just going through autopilot and all that kind of stuff. Fuck that living. I'm not subscribed to that. Like, I'm here to show you how to live an extraordinary life, whatever that means for you. But it means that you have to be able to follow the voice of your soul. And it's going to ask you sometimes. So intuition, by the way, isn't mean. It's not telling you you're fat or you're this or you're that. It's telling you through a direct but loving voice what you're supposed to be doing next. Okay, I just want you to understand that, because it's not your ego voice. So anyways, when you get these steps, it's wanting to lead you to your most extraordinary life. And if you don't listen, you're going to find that things are very ordinary, and you might find that you continue to stay stuck. I cannot tell you how many people say to me, I feel stuck. Well, we all get stuck at times, but like, if you've been stuck for years, there's a reason. You're not listening to yourself, or you don't want to let go of something, because your intuition may say to you, you got to let go of something. I remember when I was going through a very pivotal catalytic time in my life, just a couple years ago in 2020, and I was told I had to let go of my relationship at that time because it was never going to allow me to become the person I was meant to be. I wasn't happy, and I was trying to, kind of get through things and, stay in this kind of thing because of my children and all this stuff. But my intuition was like, get out, like you're meant to go do other stuff. Like there's this other life waiting for you. And it started as a whisper, and then it started getting louder. And then to the point where it didn't have to get to yelling, because I listened to it. And I cannot believe how much my life has flourished and blossomed and bloomed in the most gorgeous ways, because I followed my intuition. Was it difficult? Sometimes it's challenging to let go of things. But that's okay, because if you trust yourself, on the other side of the letting go is something freaking incredible, right? So last piece of this too that I want to say is, I've had those times. As a matter of fact, in that same relationship, I remember having prophetic dreams for a whole year, you guys. For a whole year, I had these dreams that in my dream, my former was cheating on me, and I was just like, why do I keep having this dream? And I was so angry. I was like, why is this happening? And I would wake up and I'd look at him and I'd be like, you cheated on me in my dream. But I never went further than that. I never asked, why do I keep having this repetitious dream over and over again? Why do you think? But I wasn't listening to my intuition, even though it was like literally in my dream over and over and over again. So sometimes even the best of us, even those of us that have all the tools, still can be a fool like I was, because I wasn't ready to see it. Sometimes we're not ready to see. But when something's repetitious like that, when you see a sequence of numbers, when the universe keeps bringing different people to tell you the same things, please listen. Listen, life is always in communication with you. That's another piece of this. To live that extraordinary life, you have to be mindful and paying attention and aware of what life is trying to show you. So I want to tell you that a couple of the ways that I really can tap into, that I use to tap into my intuition. One of them is obviously meditation. I use Synctuition. It's like this incredible app. I don't get any affiliation with them, but I just love their app. It's just music. It's binaural beats. It's in gamma brainwave, and it gets me going. And I start to just get my information. I also have a lot of time in my life for stillness and rest. I really make sure that I have downtime to really receive and be in my flow. And then I do a lot of automatic writing. So if I want to know what my soul is trying to guide me towards, I will do like a meditation sometimes, or I'll, just go right into automatic writing, and I'll ask a question of my higher self, or you can call it your future self, higher self, your inner elder, and I'll say, hey, what do I need to know right now for my future about what my finances or something, or this or that? I don't go asking people. I have plenty of mentors, plenty of healers, plenty of helpers, plenty of people, guides in my life too. But at the end of the day, I'm the expert on me. And so I just go straight to my intuition. So I highly, 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 highly recommend that you start to understand how intuitive you are, and you start to use it in your life, because you don't want to ignore the messages and live an autopilot life and wind up waking up 2 years from now and going, why is my life still like this? I had this whisper that told me that I should have left this situation, this job, or that my health was out of alignment, and now I'm really, 2 years later, you're really sick, or that you're in a really toxic relationship that's not allowing you to be your best self, or whatever it may be. I cannot stress this last piece enough. Life is too short. It's too short. So I know it feels like you're ripping the Band-Aid off sometimes to do the thing that, is going to help you get to the other side of this, but rip off the Band-Aid, do the thing. If you need support with your intuition and living this really beautiful quantum life where you're always tapped into the quantum field and you're really trusting yourself, message about that. I thought I turned my thing on, what's it called? Do not disturb. Anyways, message me, because I would love to hop on a Zoom call with you and we can discuss what it would look like to work with me. A couple other things. I have a program coming out soon with this gal, Kim, that I mentioned earlier, the psychic. We're both clear channels. We're putting together a gorgeous 3-month program to help you deeply tap into your intuition. That's going to be coming out in September. I have my mastermind that I'm going to be filling. I'm looking for 5 women who are ready to totally change and step into the greatest version of who you are meant to be. It's a year-long program. We have a retreat in Maui. It's going to be incredible. And I have those 2 retreats because those are open to the public. So I have a retreat in San Diego, August 25th through the 28th. It's called Soul Remembrance. You can go on my profile and I'll get you the information, or you can message me. And then I also have a retreat in Maui in November at Lumeria, which is all about superabundance and creating from your intuition, from your divine feminine, your most abundant life. And I have to say, the last but not least, like from following my intuition, I'm not saying everything's always perfect. Like I'm not going to bullshit you and say that, but I have a pretty freaking epic life. And it's because I've taken some risk and I've made mistakes, but like I trust my intuition. I trust where it's taking me. So trust yours. Have a beautiful rest of your week. And I will see you guys next week for a new episode. Take care.